Well, thank you for joining us at the camp for the service for my brother, my mother, and my father. The camp always brought everybody together. The Thomases never did Christmas all together or Thanksgiving. We always just had the first week of November. And for 10 years, that's when we saw each other. We'd come here in November and hunt, Mom, Dad, Richard, and me. And so it's kind of fitting now, when they pass, the camp brings us all together again, and them. And may they rest together, find peace here. My best memories of my brother were from here. I hunted with him. The memory I have is when he was able-bodied, happy, dog in the bush, shooting his gun. And that's my best memory of him was here. Mom was the best cook.
Yes. And loved to share her cooking.
Well, I have the book and it doesn't work. She did it all in a traditional way. She used the wood stove. Everything was on the wood stove. She wouldn't buy processed food. It was homemade pies and homemade buns and cookies, and everything was done on the wood stove. A turkey, the chili bubbled away on the wood stove. And yeah, and she shared with all of us. And Mom was like the glue.
Yeah. Always smiling.
She had the touch for putting meals together and setting it out in such grand style too.
She always had dinner ready at 5:30. Me and Dad would watch The Simpsons, Channel 5 at 5, and Mom would make dinner, and then we'd eat at 5:30 because we either had baseball or wrestling at 6:30 every day. So that was what Mom did, and did it forever, and never had a dishwasher. She lived in the same house since Granddad moved her in, since she was like 6 years old. Never had a dishwasher. The house is sold. I reviewed the offers, and one of the offers was conditional on the installation of a dishwasher.
Oh, wow. And I thought they would have asked for more counter space. She had such tiny counter space that she could put it all together.
Yeah, so as if I'm going to install a dishwasher for somebody else.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, and then my dad. Dad and Mom never missed an opportunity to come watch me wrestle. And even when I coached, because I coached for the last 20 years, and whenever I came to Southern Ontario, they'd come watch me coach, and my dad would coach the coach. So this tradition here was started with Granddad. Granddad on his marker says lifelong outdoorsman. And he chose this spot. And so that became our family plot. And so now it's where my family rests. So I hope they find peace. But the things that my mom and dad passed to me was my mom and her energy.
Yes.
And her fitness, like
Yes.
do something every day.
That's right.
And then my dad was a fidgeter, a putterer, a tinkerer. And like super frugal. Like he would spend 8 hours fixing something that he could have bought with 1 hour a wage. You know, but that's what he liked to do.
Yeah.
But he
And Cindy always described it as MacGyvering it. Very MacGyvered by whatever.
or Frankenstein.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think she got that terminology from you.
Yeah, Frankenstein. You buy him something brand new, he'd drill holes in it and put wires and elastic bands all over the thing.
Walker, how he redesigned his walker.
He was hard to shop for. He bought whatever he needed, and if he liked it, he bought two.
Yes.
So we found an antique, brand new Fenwick fishing bucket, like minnow pail.
Okay.
The galvanizing was perfect. The foam was perfect. Like it was honest, like brand new stock. A friend bought it. I had to buy it off him, so I paid a premium. And I gave it to Dad in Scarborough. I said, look, put it on the fireplace. And he's looking at it, and he's looking at how the lid closes and everything. I'm like, don't you dare. And me and Oak come up here next year. He cut the foam so the latch closed. He tried to take the sticker off and scratched it. He tied a rope on it, floating in the lake.
And as you said, we're gathered here together as family and friends to honor the lives of Richard, Cindy, and Gary Thomas, and to share our memories of them. What word or phrase comes to your mind when you think of Richard? He loved his food. And when you think of Cindy, she shared the comfort of food with everyone. And when you think of Gary, he was Mr. Fix-It, and he always loved a project, right? Cindy and me together, friends since way back when we were young girls, swimming off this same dock. When I think of Cindy, I think of her cooking, baking, serving meals to her family and friends and hunters. She was in her element of sharing and also well known as the cookie lady with her weekly skating friends. Our dad loved to travel in scenic places, and his yearly 2 weeks of holidays either started or ended at this camp. We grew up fishing. Cindy loved fishing, but it was off this same barge, and this same barge has an awful lot of coats of paint. Every year Cindy and Gary were painting it. And when we were camping as young girls, our job was to set up the tent, and then we could go and check out the park, finding a swimming area. We both enjoyed swimming. One time we walked and we saw a young guy with a boombox on his shoulder sitting high up on a hill. And you know what boomboxes are? Yeah. Good. Anyways, he came down and we talked, and Cindy and Gary exchanged addresses. Gary's family was there for 3 weeks, And we left the next day, and the rest is the story of their history. It was Gary who encouraged Terry to meet Cindy's kid sister at a dance. Gary and Cindy loved to dance, and even since like all their dating time, they were so smooth on the dance floor together. And maybe it was Gary's magic leather shoes that they were so good, and they enjoyed that. It was 53 years ago when Cindy and Gary married with a big church wedding. And later in 1971, when Terry and I got married, it was only Gary and Cindy celebrating with us. And they treated us at the Inn on the Park, was a very posh restaurant in its day. And they were very generous to us. Cindy had a flair for organizing parties and celebration. When Gary turned 50, Mike and Cindy put together a grand backyard barbecue with all the details of a fun gathering of family and friends. In your mind, think of white tables and chairs and umbrellas. I also helped Cindy with a wonderful 50th anniversary for our parents. Cindy also organized a special party for Gran's extended family. We had a very small family of 6. But anyways, she extended it to everyone who knew Gran, and we celebrated her 90th birthday. Gran came to Scarborough often, and Cindy patiently took her shopping. Cindy was not a shopper, only for essentials. Cindy and I and the 5 cousins, Richard, Michael, Jason, Tim, Matt, we all got together in Beaverton Park for picnics with Gran. The boys enjoyed swimming off the same pier in Lake Simcoe that Cindy and I did as young girls. Years later, it was just Cindy and I who took Gran for a drive and a lunch out to celebrate her birthday. It was a special treat for each of us. Cindy and I always enjoyed similar things, always walking from a young age as a family with picnics and many parks and canoe trips with Dad and Gord. We had 2 canoes, one Cindy and I shared, and I remember Opiongo Lake in Algonquin Park when a storm came up with this threatening waves, and I can still hear Cindy calling, "Keep paddling, keep paddling." And I did, and she steered us safely to shore. I asked Wendy, she's my oldest sister, for a phrase or a word when she thought of Cindy, and her comment was, Cindy loved Nova Scotia visits. Cindy almost went yearly, starting after graduation in 1966, when Wendy was in Montreal on a Navy training course. There's something hard to describe about sisters' reunions, but they are a very special part of our life. The connection of belonging and love. Cindy continued her visits to Wendy's, North Kingston Farm, and Mike remembers there. And when we retired, we started the annual 3 Sisters reunion, exploring Nova Scotia together. What fun times. My favorite was walking on the beach, shoes in our hand, feeling the warm, soft sand and the cool, cold ocean on our feet. I encouraged Cindy and Wendy to follow my lead. They were very hesitant. I was quick and they followed my lead, so it was a beautiful memory. And it was the best times of relaxed, no rush type of holiday. Cindy was my go-to girl, always ready for a day together, locally, and sometimes we took the train for further away, like Ottawa. We went out in all seasons, all weather, mostly walking trails, sometimes shopping, and lunch out or a picnic. We never ran out of things to say. Cindy was a talker. Encouraging each other, sharing the kids' stories, memories, and future plans, stages of our current creative projects, and always with some good laughs. Cindy loved to do her happy dance. As I said, Cindy was not a shopper, until she found the creative passion of rug hooking. And then she started buying wool, mostly in Nova Scotia, and her stash of good wool and great colors filled a trunk full of good intentions. My favorite rug hooking gift is three sisters walking down a path, Wendy with her pure white hair, Cindy with her favorite blue hat, and me with a scarf around my neck and it blowing in the wind. And when I'm walking on a trail down a path, I know I walk in Cindy's memory. And may she rest in peace. Thank you.
You do the plug. Ferns, I love ferns.
Oh, all the ferns they cut down over the years. Pretty sure that was
Bury
it.
them in ferns.
We didn't even talk about that, the work they did to clearing trails. And how it changed when you got ATVs.
Oh, it was a walking trail, and then when we got the bikes, then the work started.
Yeah.
Because we had to widen all the trails and build bridges. That was Thanksgiving in the Thomases.
And I'm glad you acted on it.
I'm gonna write his name on here, and then I'll put it up with Granddad's bottle. Here.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah.
How nice.
So Mom, my mom, we were at a wrestling tournament. She liked a little hard stiff drink once in a while. Right?
She did?
So we were having a drink in the hotel after this event.
Yes.
And I said, Mom, you want one? She said, yeah. And so I got a cup and some ice in there, and I half filled it.
And she filled it up more?
No, I half filled it up, and I put just about the tip of the pop, and she's like, no, you'll ruin it.
That was one of her favorite things down in Nova Scotia. Wendy's husband is a Navy guy, and he's very much on the clock time. So 5 o'clock on the dot, he was pouring drinks, and that was just an automatic hot time in Nova Scotia. And when Cindy and I, we so enjoyed it, because then you sat down and you had a little chat, and this was all before dinner rush and all the rest of it, and yeah. So when we went away traveling, if we were like overnight or something, we always took a bottle. Mostly wine, not so much the hard stuff, but Joe always had the rum.
That's why she liked those trips so much.
I know. Well, it was time with just girls.
Yes,
So we didn't have
girl time.
the mix up with husbands.
Hello, everybody.
Yep.
My dad, after his parents passed, and the Ross and Vera, he says, hey, I'm the next layer. That's what he said.
Really?
We're the next layer. And so that's what he said. But anyways, to the Thomases, Richard, Cindy and Gary.
The
Cheers.
Thomases.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers. Salute.
Salute.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Good.
Yellow.
Hey, I'll fill this in your Coke, acid.
Ooh. Kick.